First of all, on Christmas Day, something happened to the United States. So, what happened on Christmas Day? What happened in the United States? The healthcare was passed Christmas Eve. Okay, on Christmas Day. No idea. How about the terrorist attack?
In Detroit.
Yes, in Detroit. Okay, so next one. 国家, which country does terrorist come from? Does this terrorist come from? Nigeria. Okay, so now this is quite different, right? Most of the time we said terrorists are from the Middle East, from North Africa, or from South Asia. So Nigeria, quite different. Especially this gentleman, Abdul Mulata. He is from a very rich background. He got good education. His father was the former chairman of the Nigerian First Bank. So, again, when people worry about recruiting of terrorists, they said, well, the terrorists, the poverty is the hotbed for breeding terrorists, right? Because you are in poverty, you don't have a job. The least thing you can do is to help your family and get, being recruited by the terrorist organization. So that's one. Okay, very important one. But again, it's not the same background. So ethnicity, not the same. Education or, family background, not the typical one. And a lot of terrorists are on the watch list. So that you have a list, of all those people. But he was on another list. The one who is almost like we call watch list, but not the one to be rejected. So how did he pass that? Okay, that's another one. So he has a valid American visa to go to U.S. That's no problem. But the funny thing was his father warned the U.S. embassy in Nigeria, say, hey, my son went astray just last month, and the United States didn't put that information into their system. So that's an interesting one. And finally, if you fail at your information or intelligence, you need to make it up with the airport, basically the screening at the airport, and both fail. So you have failure at the intelligence and failure with the airport operation as well. So two things. Now, just want to mention one thing. Remember, we have FWA. What is FWA? Do you still remember FWA? We have DWI, and then we have DWB. What is DWI? Driving while intoxicated. You're drunk, but driving while black. Okay, you happen to be a black. You drive a luxurious car. People say this must be stolen. So now flying while Arab, right? If you fly first class, you're Arab. You must be a terrorist. So here we have someone not the first class, economy class, okay, but black from Africa. So not the typical one. some people said, why do we have to spend so much money on all this airport security, check? Because after all, they took away our little Caesars. Sometimes even interesting things like little, what do we call the nail clipper? They think nail clipper is dangerous, right? They take away a lot of stuff. Now the liquid bottle, you go to the airport and then you drink the liquid, right? Before you check in. Otherwise, they just throw away. There is a bag to throw away all the bottle. And interestingly, I thought, why can't I just drink my liquid there and show you this is just water? You can't. But then they say you cannot bring the liquid bottle to the airplane, but then you can buy it inside. Strange. So all those, security check is a big problem. So some people say, why don't we rely on intelligence? But if you rely on intelligence, and then we will have a big problem. I think we discussed this a little bit before. Okay, what do we mean by racial profiling? Racial profiling is DWB, is FWA, right? I still remember when I first went to the U.S. in 1978. Okay, I brought with me a knife, okay, in my luggage. And the security, check and found out a knife and then look at me, because at that time there was a Red Army terrorist group from Japan. So do I look like, someone from Japan, a terrorist? So that's what we call racial profiling. Racial profiling means, I believe, if you happen to be Arab, you are several times more likely to be a terrorist than a Asian or than a blonde. Okay? So that's what we call racial profiling. Some people think it's good for the security, for the intelligence, because it's so easy to do it. You immediately pick up the person. But also it's discrimination. Because if you happen to be a black, you happen to be an Arab, you are more likely to be stopped. It's almost like if you're driving in the evening, right? You go through the checkpoint. You go through the checkpoint for DWI. The police will stop you. But, if you sit, if the lady sit right next to you, it's look like your wife, they just let you go. Okay? Because they think, like, oh, this must be couple. Couple, do not look like, like the husband would be drinking. But if it's a younger girl, not the age of your daughter, then I think they will stop. Okay? So is that discrimination against someone who marry a younger girl? So that's I would call profiling. So the DWI in Taiwan also has a profiling against those people who look like they will more likely to be drinking. But in terms of America, the security at the airport, this is the big problem. Racial profiling. And then coming back again also to the airport security check. Okay. Once you identify those people, that's fine. And then also there are, the new system that you can go through maybe a X-ray. I mean, people can find out, like, what's inside of you. Is that violation of privacy? People can see, not everybody else, but, the airport operator, people who operate the machine. When you go through, they can see you. So almost like, in a way, naked. So privacy issue. Now, this is important because the final essay question I asked you, it's about, the national security and individual freedom. Okay, you need to have a balance here. Okay, some of the midterm questions, I said 5 each. Some students thought, 5 points each. No, I just have 15 answer, and then 5 states representing all this, and which is important for you because just goes through here. Alaska is always Republican, so very stronghold of Republican. Colorado is a battleground shifting. Okay, Delaware, okay, here is a Democrat. It has not voted for the Republican for quite a while. Florida, if you remember all those controversial votes of 2000, and then 2004, Bush won it, and now 2008, Obama won it. So it's a battleground. Okay, it's a battleground state. And Illinois traditionally was a battleground, but in the last 40 years has become more democratic. Okay, so it's a democratic state. Kansas. Okay, think of this. Obama's mother came from Kansas. That didn't help. Kansas voted for McCain easily. Okay, of all the Kansas 3 representatives and 2 senators, all are Republican. So you know how Republican this state is. Okay, Missouri, that's a battleground. Most of the time, Missouri has always voted for a winner except 2008. They miss. Okay. That's a very strange because we call the bellwether states, the battleground, it's indication of who will win the election, but 2008 they failed. Only the second time in the last 104 years. Okay, they predict wrong. Okay, so that's the battleground. New Jersey is so close to New York. It's a Democratic state. Ohio, battleground. Okay, how battleground it is? No Republican in the last 100 years won the election without carrying Ohio. Means that if you don't carry Ohio, you don't win. Period. Okay, for Republican. So Bush carried Ohio in 2000. Also in 2004, very close. Both times very close. In 2004, also controversial counting of votes. But 2008, Ohio went to Obama. So Ohio very important. Pennsylvania, also a battleground, but maybe we can talk about it a little bit closer to Democratic states now. But still, it's a battleground, not just because it's very close in terms of Democrats and Republicans, but also because it's a large state with a lot of votes. So no candidate is going to give up on that. South Carolina, that's the South, deep South, very conservative. Texas, conservative, those are Republican. Utah, Mormon states, conservative. So those are all Republican. Vermont, that's a Democratic state. And Washington here, that's a Democratic state. So any question on this, you still have to take the map test with the list of all the states, okay, if you fail to pass. And then the political parties, I don't know why don't you do this? I have students before doing something like they give all the answer A and then at least get half of right? Or B, right? So anti-federalist. This is the interesting part because federalist means they support a strong federal government or at least a federation. Anti-federalist means what? Decentralization. They want state to have more power. But in the beginning, anti-federalist Jefferson, represented by Jefferson, with the Democrats. Okay? And then the second one, Democratic Republican, that's Jefferson Party as well. And Federalists with the Republican. Now their position just switch. Okay? It's a little bit like in Taiwan. Used to be the DPP would be able to win the bigger cities. The KMT won the conservative countryside. But now it's reverse. Okay? So National Democrat, that's also Democrat. Whigs are the Republicans. So that's not the big issue here. Okay, these are the issues. Very important here. National health care support. Democratic Party support. How much, how close is the support? Let's look at this. Wu Yudong. Yeah. Can you tell me how did they vote in the Senate recently for the health care bill? This is a very partisan one. 3 votes. Senate had 3 votes. 2 times they voted 60 to 40, and the very last one, 60 to 39. Okay. Now, which means what? All 58 Democratic senators and the 2 independents voted for national health care, and every one of the Republicans voted for against the national health care. The last one, 39, one Republican was missing. He was one of the baseball players, from Kentucky. I don't know why he missed the vote, but still, that's national health care, very partisan. And in the House, the last time they voted, 220 to 215, and only 1 Republican voted for national health care. 39 Democrats voted against. But still, it's very partisan. So this is a Democratic issue, right? Second one, school voucher. What is a voucher? Voucher is like our spending voucher in Taiwan earlier this year. 消费券, right? So school voucher is a education voucher, 教育券. So the parents can use that money to decide whether they want to go send their kids to private school or public school. If you send your kids to public school, I'm sorry, you cannot, get this voucher. But if you send your kids to private school, and then you can somehow pay a little bit more. It's not going to pay all the tuition, but it will help you to make the decision whether you want to send it or not. For example, if you send your kids to a private high school, it may cost you, let's say, $500 a month, okay? But if the government said, well, we will subsidize $200, you said, wow, I thought I'm going to spend $500, but now it's only $300. Hey, maybe I can afford. You would do that. Now, why would Republicans support school voucher? Because a lot of Republicans are conservative. They do not believe, they do not trust the public school. They want to send their kids to the private school. And some of the private school can teach religion. Okay. People love to send their kids to Catholic school as well. Why? They think the nuns are very tough. I don't know why the nuns are tough. But because I went to a Catholic university, I thought the nun was really nice. I'm not sure. Anyone went to Catholic junior or middle school, high school? 有没有人去过天主教学校读书？高中？没有。Some people say 修女 very tough. You went? Are the nuns really tough? The nuns, 还好 okay. But that's why they want to send their kids. Okay. So that's a school voucher. Still very big in a lot of states. A lot of states are now having that. Okay. And Republicans want to make it more popular. Gay rights, I think that's easy. Democrats. Affirmative action, some of you don't know about affirmative action. Again, it's helping those disadvantaged groups in education and job opportunities. Very much like what? Our 繁星计划. Okay? So that's affirmative action. Capital gain tax cut. Okay, every time you look at tax cut, must be Republican. Republican always said you pay too much tax. Okay, that's the reason people say when you are a college student, you support Democrats. When you go to work for the high-tech company in Hsinchu, you became a Republican. Because you earn too much, you want to pay tax. You say, I don't like tax. So that's capital gain. Also, buying stock, you gain from that. There is tax as well. Women's right to choose, that's a Democratic issue. School prayer, that's a Republican issue. Higher tariff. Okay, now, why is higher tariff a Democratic issue? Yu Pei-Xuan. Yeah, why? Why higher tariff is a Democratic issue? Why Democrats support higher tariff? Okay, why not Okay, so that's a good thinking. But why it would not be a Republican issue? Yeah, but this is a tax to impose on import, right? So it's not on you. And also, if it's import duty, import tax, general consumers will have to pay more because of the higher tax. It's like in Taiwan, we know if you want to buy an import car, right, automobile, you pay more because of the import duty. So why would someone, Republican would be against the import duty or tariff? Or coming back, why would Democrats support it? Import tax will make the imports more expensive. So people will have less incentive to buy the imports. So like in Taiwan, I'm one of the typical example, right? I'm driving a Nissan Sentra made in Taiwan. Okay, cheaper. Why? Because I don't want to pay all those tariff for an import car. My dream car, okay, my first dream car is called Mini Cooper. I love Mini Cooper. Oh, I love Mini Cooper. But you know how much it's going to cost me? 1.15 million. 115万. Oh, I said, it doesn't worth, that much. And he said, you're still on a waiting line. You still have to wait. And I thought after Xu Weiren's accident might drop the price. But it didn't happen. So that one is my first dream car. My second one is Volkswagen Bug, 金龟车, which again, also you have to pay. So I bought a Nissan Sentra. So that's why you are supporting local industry, and Democrats protect local workers. Their support groups are workers' labor union. So that's very important for higher tariff. Otherwise, especially if you think of U.S. right now, if you don't have a lot of tariff to stop the flooding of Chinese manufacturing goods, all the factories in the United States might as well be shut down. Right? How can you compete with the cheap labor in China? I mean, in Taiwan, we cannot. How can the U.S. compete? So tariff is a big issue. Environmental protection. I'll give you one quote from a Republican. Okay, environmental protection is a Democratic issue. We all know that. The Republican are pro-business. They don't care too much about environment. My former governor, when I was in Alaska, is a Republican. he said, we cannot just sit here idly and let the environment run wild. Do you understand here? It's like the environment itself will run wild. So man can do a lot of things to the environment. Because if you don't do anything, the environment itself will run wild. That's a so Republican view. So like you can harness a environment. The Democratic view will be you try to harness or control and try to limit what? The destruction of the environment. Right? So totally different. Deregulation. Republicans do not like regulation because they think regulation will hurt the free trade, will hurt people's incentive to invest. Too much regulation. Okay? But that's the big problem. We have all the financial tsunami last year because of not enough regulation. Okay? So the Democrats prefer more regulation. Government system, this one should be easy, but I don't know why you missed the first few. The last one, British Commonwealth. The one I have strongly recommend our government to join this because they have received two non-British colony before to become Commonwealth member. But you know this one, there is no central authority. So it is a decentralized, it's almost like confederation here. Canada, all the big countries in the world except China is a federation. So Canada, Germany, United States today, after 70, and then you can look at all the big countries like India, Australia, Argentina, Mexico, Venezuela, they are all federation. Centralized country, France, Great Britain, China, Japan. But China, again, is the only big country in terms of geographical size and population. Only one, a unitary system, not a federation. Okay? United States before 1789 was a confederation. Any question on this part? Okay, here, I think we have one very interesting thing. All these freedoms of assembly, freedom of press, freedom of speech, no search without warrants. What else? Jury, maybe this one. Speedy trial, right to counsel. Who was arrested and sentenced to 11 years of jail for inciting rebellion, overthrowing the country. 窦祖康. 郑君哲. Yeah. Have you read about this? In China, someone was sentenced to 11 years. Okay, this is the third, we call democracy person. First one, some 30 years ago, we have a Wei Jingsheng. And then some 20 years ago, we have a Wang Dan. And now 10 years ago and until now, we have this guy. Anyone heard of this guy? Liu Xiaobo. Okay, so Liu Xiaobo was arrested because of what? Because China already celebrated 60 years of national founding of the People's Republic. Because China already had the Olympic game. But they have a war, affair, expo next year in Shanghai. So why would they do it? What was the reason? I mean, like the name of the crime. The crime is you try to incite people, means encourage people to overthrow. But what was the basis? Okay. You have to know because there is we call a 08 charter. Okay, he wrote a constitutional charter saying this is what China, a big country, should move forward to become a democratic country respecting human rights. So if you look at that charter, 08宪章，人家以为是08，不是啊，是08 okay? 08宪章。So you look at that, you have all these freedom things. That's the reason China doesn't like it, you know. But China, its own constitution also has a lot of this provision. So these are the important provision: freedom of assembly, freedom of press, freedom of speech, freedom of religion are all these First Amendment rights, right? What else? There's one more. Anyone? Which is also in 08 Charter as well. So we have 4 freedoms, but also there's one more. Freedom of speech, assembly, press, religion, petition. Okay, there's also freedom of petition as well in the First Amendment. And then the Second Amendment, of course, is to right to bear arms. So that's a very important one. And then the Fourth Amendment, you have no double jeopardy. Fourth Amendment, you have no search without warrants, right? Not just no search without warrant, no arrest without warrant as well. No holding some of your stuff without warrant. They cannot just, take away your stuff. So that's number 4, Fourth Amendment here. And then the Fifth Amendment, no double jeopardy or no self-incrimination. What do we mean by no double jeopardy? 吴凯，徐安丽，何子怡。Yeah, just a second. Yes. Okay, yeah. What do you mean by no double jeopardy? Hey, this has been raised recently in Taiwan. No double jeopardy. 一罪两判，不是两判，两罚了。Okay, so basically, if you have been sentenced because of that crime, they cannot use the same crime to sentence you again. Okay, happen to be involved in this corruption case of our former president. Some of the accused or some of those who have been charged right now, if ever they're going to be sentenced, then if you find out other things, you cannot sentence and use the same crime to sentence them again. So that's one, of this. And next also we have no self-incrimination. What do we mean by self-incrimination? Crime. Incriminate means make someone have to have that crime. Self-incrimination. Make yourself to be, charged with that crime. What does that mean? "中文讲一下，讲讲看。I mean, you watch so many CSI. Every time they talk to the suspect, what would the suspect say? I think I need to talk to a lawyer, right? I think I will remain silent. You have the right to remain silent because anything you say can be used against you. So don't say anything, okay? Because you're not smart enough against the detective. They can ask some questions. You will easily contradict yourself, okay? We always think we are very smart. And even an attorney, a lawyer himself, when he is charged, he hires another attorney. Okay? So don't think you are smart enough. Don't do that. So you don't talk. That's no self-incrimination because whatever you talk can be used against you. And the police cannot force you to talk. They cannot put you on some kind of torture and saying you have to talk. No. It's your right to remain silent. Okay, Harisa, what's your question? You don't? Okay. And no cruel and unusual punishment. That's death penalty. Woo! We have one today in China. A British drug trafficker was sentenced to death and has just been executed 2 hours ago. Great Britain tried to save his life, but, China said, we have the law. You have to respect our law. Trafficking drug is a terrible crime. And this is the last time China executed a European was 58 years ago. Okay, but again, this is not a true British national. He is a British national, but he is a Pakistani. Okay, so I think, the Great Britain might not be as eager to save him. Still, that's unusual punishment, death penalty. So this one, again, is the number 8th amendment. And then right to speedy trial and right to counsel. Okay, now, this is 6th amendment, speedy trial and right to counsel. Right to counsel, what does that mean? Li Zichuan. Yeah, what does that mean? Right to counsel. Counselor, counsel. Right to attorney, right to lawyer. So everyone is entitled to a lawyer, right? What is speedy trial? Speedy trial means you have a court that is a go-through window. 有这样的吗？快速就是用窗口可以 order 速食吗？ What do you mean by speedy trial? Well, you cannot just delay and delay without a trial. Put someone in a detention or, just pending, waiting, like 3 years without a trial. That's why Obama wanted to close the Guantanamo Bay and then move to the United States. Hopefully, those prisoners can have a speedy trial. You cannot just keep them there, okay? But I think, who knows? In Taiwan, I read something about someone who purposely got arrested so he can have food to eat in prison. I don't think this kind of person want to have a trial, right? You just stay, okay, it's fine with me. I don't need a speedy trial. I can wait here and as long as I have something to eat. So those are the basic rights here. And right to jury trial, that's also the 7th Amendment. Now, political ideology, I was surprised some of you missed the first two, because this is a very important one in terms of the idea. First one, libertarian. You do not want government to interfere your life and your economy. So libertarians is almost like anarchist. Libertarians say, leave me alone. Okay? I don't trust the government. Leave me alone. The second one, the liberals, they believe government can have some program for the welfare of the individual, but they do not want government to intervene or interfere their individual liberty. So it's difficult here. For example, if we have a health care now, can we ask those people saying, if you have a health care, should we remove your benefits or your right to have the health care if you continue to smoke drugs or to use drugs? But the Democrats probably would say, hey, using drug, that's individual liberty. So the Republican was saying, wait a second. Okay, you want individual liberty. You also want welfare. So kind of contradicting yourself. So that's the Democrats. Big government, healthcare as well, right? All kinds of issues they will involve. But they don't want you to intervene in my personal life. Okay. It's almost like a Democrat would be college students, don't you think? They want the parents just to provide them the money. But do not ask me how I spend the money. Don't you think that's what you are? You're Democrats. You know, you want to spend money in all kinds of video games and other things, but that's your lifestyle. You know, as parents have obligation to support you, but do not interfere with your, okay, how do you use that money? Number 3, the progressive favor advantage, change of reform, more in an egalitarian direction for economic policy and liberal direction for social policy. Look at this. Liberal direction for social policy. Progressivism, the original one, in the early part of the 20th century, people like Teddy Roosevelt. So he actually was the first president 100 years ago talk about national health care. That's a progressive issue. Progressive issues including women's right to vote, a progressive tax system. America didn't have income tax before. Okay? So only in the 20th century they began to have income tax and progressive one. So progressive, liberal direction in social policy. Okay? Egalitarian direction for economic policy. And number 4, the economy, government has very little role, right, in the economy, but proactive in the morality of social value. That's the Republican view. A Republican does not trust the government, so they don't want government to run the health care. But they do want government to intervene on social issues. So do not recognize gay marriage. Okay. Finally, I think it's easy. Populism, is more like a demagogue now. In Taiwan, what do we call populism in Taiwan? 林正豪，刘义章，庄子成。Missing. 郑立伟. Yeah. What's populism today? In Taiwan, what's the Chinese word? Here, mass political movements, mobilizing the poor working class against, but now used to appeal to the people. Every time I look at populism, I remember yesterday or the day before yesterday, I watched one of the next year's candidate for Kaohsiung, the metropolitan Kaohsiung. Oh, she is good. She is a populist. Who is this lady from Kaohsiung going to run for metropolitan Kaohsiung next year? 谁要选高雄大高雄院辖市 ？She。你们新竹人这么不关心高雄啊？现在现任高雄市长是谁？陈菊。OK， 你有没有看过陈菊演说？陈菊 is good. I mean, she has charisma. Ma Ying-jeou maybe has 5% of her charisma, right? She speaks and mobilizes people, appeal to the people. Good. That's almost like 有煽动性啊 demagogue. But she is good. Okay, so she is a popular. 在台湾我们叫民粹很强啊。Okay, so that's 民粹. I don't know. What does 粹 mean? Anyone can tell me? What is 粹 mean? I can never figure out what's the word mean in Chinese. 脆. Because if you look at it, it's like a soldier just eating the rice. 只会吃米的这个兵嘛。What does that mean? 脆。中文没有人知道。清华大学的同学，我是读私立的 I can justify not knowing the word. 我们读私立程度没你们好。What does that mean? 脆。Okay, look up your dictionary. Tell me. It's essence or what? 同学帮我查一查，你们字典只能查英文是吧？不能查中文吗？ What does 脆 mean? Pure. Okay, so pure people. What does 明脆? I don't know. I'm myself I am confused right now with this 明脆, right? Pure. Where is mine? Okay, that's populism. Okay. Constitutional amendment. You need to just check the answer here. How many of you got everything correct? If you're not, sorry, you're going to have it for the final again. Okay? I'll try to give you this for the final. So I'm not going to discuss right now. Obama, after you read everything, most of you got one thing, two right. The last two, most of you got right. And the second one may be Kenya. But how can you miss his mother's home state, Kansas? And then also he was born in Hawaii. Some people said he was born in Illinois. Where is Obama right now? He is vacationing in Hawaii. Okay, Christmas break. So I think he loved that place. Okay, so he was born in Hawaii and then went to Indonesia and came back to Hawaii as a teenager, going to school. Kenya is K-E-N, not K-A-N. K-E-N, Kenya. Kansas, Occidental College, and then Columbia. Occidental in Los Angeles, and then went to Columbia. His grade in Columbia, not very good. So gave a lot of people, encouragement. You don't have to do well in college and still can be president. Okay? Then Harvard, and then Illinois. And the check and balance, okay, these are the one, confirmation power, impeachment of the president, confirmation of all the political appointee. That's Congress can do. A political appointment by the president, you have to be confirmed, okay? And they can impeach the president, and then overriding the veto. So here, how many votes do you need? Yeah, how many votes do you need to override a veto? Percentage. 50%? Majority? But majority, if I pass the law, the president veto it, how many more do I need to override that veto? How much? Yeah, 2/3 majority, right? So you need 2/3 majority to override the veto. So that's a very important part of the, and then also you control the budget, and over Supreme Court, you can confirm the Supreme Court justice. You can also impeach. Okay, one Supreme Court justice has been impeached before. President over Congress, of course, you can veto the legislation. President over Supreme Court, you appoint Supreme Court justice. Supreme Court over Congress, you can declare legislation unconstitutional. Supreme Court over president declaring executive acts unconstitutional. Okay. So some of you gave me this great answer called the president can dissolve the Congress. I'm sorry, this is not a parliamentary system. 总统不能解散国会啊，美国。And another one people got it wrong is thinking that the Supreme Court can impeach the president. No, 我们台湾觉得哇，司法单位一定是弹劾总统。No, it's the Congress. Okay, 司法大法官还会被弹劾。Okay, not they do the impeachment. Okay, let's take a break here. Okay, this question, I put this here, and I asked you to read it because I think you spent about, what, $250 for the book? You might as well use it for a while, right? So I want to just ask some question from the book. Governments in the economy. First one, building infrastructure. This is right now, one country is very much in this. That's China. God, crazy, right? China is crazy building infrastructure. All the bridges across the ocean, and then the high-speed train right now from Guangzhou to Wuhan, 3 hours. They also have the cross-ocean bridge. The most recently, they have connected Ningbo and Zhoushan Qingdao. Okay, do you know Zhoushan Qingdao? Zhoushan Islands. Okay. I was told they have great seafood. So Ningbo people must be very lucky right now. Can go, drive all the way to Zhoushan Island to have seafood. But that's government building infrastructure. The same thing in Taiwan, and train workforce. So we have a lot of these training places, right, to help economic growth. Intervening in the economy when market mechanism fails. For example, how do you intervene market when the economy, when the market mechanism fail? Yang Daifeng. Yeah, how do you intervene in the economy when the market mechanism fail? Give me one example. Can you think of one example? If the economy, is not doing well, right? Because the market didn't do well. So if you intervene and try to help the economy, the government intervene. How? Give me an example of government intervention.
The central bank.
Okay, the central bank.
Like the stock market.
The stock
market it fell too quickly, so the central bank will take the money into the stock.
Okay, so the central bank can invest in the stock market to restore confidence of the investors. Okay, so that's a very good one. The other one will be what? Like government decided to lower interest rate for home buyers. If people are reluctant to buy homes, they don't have confidence in the market. So that's government intervention. Okay, that's a very important one, especially in interest rate. Okay, and then the third one, right? Structure the social compact between the business and the American worker. Healthcare right now is an interesting one. American government basically require every employer to, especially if you have, a lot of workers, you have to provide them with health care, health insurance. And so for some smaller companies, it's going to be very burdensome. So American government right now say, if you have 25 or less workers, you pay for their health care, health insurance, but you can claim tax credit when you file your tax return. 申报税的时候可以减 if because you have to take care your health care. So that's what we call a social compact. Or when there might be strikes, right, by workers, so the government sometimes will have to intervene between the management and the labor. Okay, I don't think in Taiwan we consider teachers as labor. In America, teachers do go to strikes, do go on strikes. Then what happened? They will have replacement workers, replacement teachers substituting and teach for a few weeks or days until the final contract had been settled. Okay, so in Taiwan, 我们有老师罢工的吗？你们有没有教授罢工？说你们在吃鸡腿，啃鸡腿？哦 ，Okay, so but this has happened in the United States as well. Okay, true and false. So the first one is false, but I want to know the correct answer. 林静琪 You don't know. Which one is the correct answer? I think I remember my international relations professor very upset with American politics. Okay, in America, it is very funny. People will say those who study the American politics are the one not very smart. The one who study international one are the smarter one. Okay, so one of the professor very upset with American politics keep talking about this one state has unicameral system. And he said so many research have been done on this little one state with one chamber of parliament, okay, assembly. That's Nebraska, okay. So where is Nebraska? Where's my pointer? I don't know where I put it, my pointers. Okay, so Nebraska is here, right? Second one, first caucus states for the presidential election has been New Hampshire. That is wrong. So Lin Boyu, what's the correct answer? You don't know. Okay. You will see by the end of next year, there will be people going to this state to campaign. Okay. Which state? This little state called Iowa. Okay. There will be a lot of people talking to the local. That's the first caucus state. New Hampshire is the first primary states. Okay. Caucus, what's the difference between caucus and primary? Anyone? What's the caucus and the difference between the two? Caucus and primary. Well, yeah, what's the difference? Both are primaries, 初选, okay? But one is more like a 会议, okay? 党团会议 or something. Caucus is more like a meeting. But primary, you just cast your vote. Okay, the only difference is what? Primary, you cast your vote. Caucus, you have to go there and sit for a few hours because you have to discuss, and then you cast your votes, and then, maybe second round or third round. And most important difference is in a caucus meeting, you will have coffee and chocolate chip cookies. Okay? In a primary, you don't. You cast the vote and you go. Okay? In a caucus, you sit down and then you talk about, how you're going to support. For example, you have, 5 candidates, right? But you're only going to have, let's say, 6 votes among all you groups. When at the end you represent, in this room 6 votes. So you have 5 candidates, and then you voted for the first time, and then some candidate got some percentage of votes. Some candidate. So you have to some people don't have enough to qualify for one vote. So then the others will say, hey, the guy you support cannot, doesn't have enough support to get one delegate. So why don't you vote for our candidate? See, you join us, then we have one delegate here. But then other people say, no. Your candidate's position is closer to ours, so you should come here. Then the other one said, no. And, on this issue, why you support this candidate? You say, because of anti-abortion. My candidate is also an anti-abortion candidate. So that's how you discuss. That's why people don't like to go to caucus, because you're going to spend maybe 2 hours in the evening there. But you do have chocolate chips cookie. Okay? I went to few of them just to observe how they do it. Just divide the room, and then first you have a straw vote. 就是一个先是什么呀？假投票，看看 how many people actually support, and then allow the candidate, the voter who supports a certain candidate to say why you support this candidate. Try to win the others. Okay, so take a lot of time. But most of the states right now is having primary, just casting a vote. Okay, much easier. Okay, number 3, that's true. Senator is not a good position to win election. Most recently, which position is better? 何马荣, 郑洁之. Yeah, which position is better to win the president? Governor. Okay, people think governor has executive experiences. Okay, it's almost like people right now in Taiwan. If the past pattern hold, who will be the next president in Taiwan? 郝龙斌. Okay. 吓到我. Okay, because all the mayor, right, of Taipei has become, president. So, that's governor, executive position. Okay, it's almost like today you're asking Taiwan, Ms. Zheng, do you trust a legislator to become the next president in Taiwan? 我们下个总统是立法委员好吗? No, you don't. We don't trust. Okay, so here, but Obama was a 立法委员, right? Okay, so he won. Only Franklin D. Roosevelt served more than 2 terms. 黄伯玉. Now, why not other president? Why only him serving more than 2 terms? First of all, right now you can only serve 2 terms. But you said, hey, if you can only serve 2 terms, why did he serve more than 2 terms? Well, because, people like him, so make an exception. No, you cannot. The 2 term was only a constitutional amendment in 1951, right? After he served more than 3 terms. Okay, he served into the 4th term. But why would people vote for? So everyone before him can serve more than 2 terms, but nobody did it. Why? First, they got elected relatively old, right? If you got elected at the age of 60, after 8 years, you're old. But that's a tradition in America. Starting from George Washington, everyone served only 2 terms. I don't know why. They just respect. It's a little bit like 乾隆, huh? Do you see the analogy here? 你有没有看到这个类似的地方? 为什么我说乾隆? 乾隆 said, my grandfather served 61 years, right? 康熙在位61年, I cannot surpass him. So, on the 60 years, he stepped down. 乾隆做了60年, 不到他祖父的61年, 他就赶快下来做太上皇了. 他还做了5年哦. 嘉庆君来过台湾的是不是？有没有？到底有没有？嘉庆做王的时候， Qianlong was the, 太上皇, right, for 5 years. Only after he passed away did Jiaqing move on to remove He Kun. 何坤还是何琛？申哦，有边读边吗？是这样子啊？和珅啊 ，OK。So Franklin Roosevelt served more than 3 terms because it was during World War II. Okay, people said you don't change a horse in the middle of the river. 那台湾的比喻是什么？Mr. Huang, what do you think? 洗头洗一半，继续洗吧。台语怎么讲？这个比喻是台语怎么讲？洗头洗了一半就不换了嘛，不动嘛，继续洗下去了。所以这个打仗打了一半，总统已经在那，不换总统。OK， 这个对不对？这样差不多吧。I just want to make sure 这个 analogy is it okay this 比喻？Okay, so that's why he served more than 4 terms. Okay, next one. 詹登明、刘应成 Yeah, next one. This one, delegate represented, assumed the role of a, conduit for the constituency. Legislature assumed the role of a trustee. Okay, when she is voting according to the best judgment. Okay, this is right. Now, what do we mean by this? If you are a delegate and if you are a trustee. Delegate representing the view of the constituency, and the trustee vote based on your best judgment and conscience. Yeah, but can you give me an example? For example, if you are a legislator, now, healthcare, okay? If you go back to ask your constituencies and you make a survey, you ask your staff to make phone call, and then you say, wow, 45% support, 55% against, so I am going to vote against it. What, are you a trustee or are you a delegate? If you ask your staff, your legislative aide, 立法助理, right, making phone call to your constituents, to your voters, saying, I want to find out how many people are supporting health care. 45% say yes. 55% said no. So you said, wow, 55% said no. I might as well vote for no. Are you a delegate or are you a trustee? Okay, you are a delegate, right? So a trustee is that you think, wow, this is so nice, right? And some people said this is the most important vote they ever cast, for this national health care. Changed American history. I have one German student very upset because some Republican accuse this national health care is like Nazi. National socialism. Nazi is national socialism. 国家社会主义. Okay, but that's right wing. This is left wing. Why would left wing and right wing actually meet? Because if you look at something, this we call ideological spectrum. It's like this, left and right, right? But if you go back, they will meet. Like a circle, okay? So you don't look like one line, okay? They are just bending. At the end, they meet, okay? So that's why you have a left-wing socialist policy being considered a Nazi legislation. A trustee will be someone who thinks something is good and will make that vote, even though it might offend his own people, own voters. 谢依晨 卓杰、李涵妮、谢云达。Yeah, next one. Here, first Republican president in U.S. history, Abraham Lincoln. It was true. So here, what was the party before the Republican, representing the Republican view? We discussed that earlier. The party that won the president in the 1840s. No, that's Democrats. What's what we call it? The predecessor of the Republican Party, 共和党的前身 former self, predecessor. Oh, we studied that, right? The first page. Did you see your first page? Which one? The week. Okay. So next one. 彭冠荣. The so-called gender gap. That means Republican Party more likely to receive support from the female voter than the Democratic Party. Is wrong. So the other view is right. So Democrats more likely to receive female votes. Why? I thought, women's are more conservative. Republicans talk about morality, right? So why would women vote for a immoral Democratic Party? 没有什么道德的民主党。女性不是很注重道德吗？ Why would women vote for Democratic? More women voted for Democratic Party. Why? Yeah, but what's wrong with conservative? Conservative means good value, right? Husband could not cheat. That's good. So why would women vote for Democratic Party? Especially Republican Party, very tough on crime. Women want to have a law and order. But we know at least 5% difference. Sometimes can be 6, 7, or 8. More women are voting for Democratic Party. Give me a reason. Oh, because Democratic Party always come up with more handsome candidates. Right? Look, Clinton, so smooth, right? Well, Clinton, first time running against someone 20 years older, right? Okay, that's George Bush Sr. The second time he ran someone 25 years older, Robert Dole. So, of course, women would like to vote for younger candidate. Again, Obama versus McCain. No contest, right? 是这样子吗? Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Gosh. Why we always forget? And then every time I miss phone call because I forget to put it back, to normal. Okay. Because of Democratic Party. Choose. Oh, so all these women, they just happen to go through the summer and got pregnant, and they want, like September, they want to have abortion, so they want to vote for. Okay, that's one issue. I think that's one. Okay, at least protect your right to choose. The Democrats protect, but what's the other one? More important. Is the Democratic Party support affirmative action? Saying you cannot discriminate against women. And also in other, education or job opportunities, they will open up, some of the area that women failed to step in before. And Democrats also very much against what we call the glass ceiling as well. So that's the more important part. Okay? Not because the candidates, the Democrats put out a Hanson, okay? 王柏权 陈一平 林耿义 王顺 Yeah, next one. Population of a congressional district of the U.S. is roughly around 700,000. That is correct. So I'm going to ask you two questions here. What is Taiwan's constituency? 我们立法委员，美国众议员是70万选一个，台湾呢？我们也是70万，结果我们2200万人，300万，所以我们选了30个立法委员 ，right? No. What is our size? Right now. Okay, first of all, let me ask you, 新竹, you're living in 新竹 city, right? How many legislators do we have in 新竹? 2? Okay, I know one is called 吕学章. Who is the other one? 邱敬纯, that's your mayor. That's your new mayor. He used to be the legislator from 新竹 County, not 新竹 City. Okay? No, I'm sorry, you only have one legislator from 新竹 City. You have only one legislator from 新竹 County. So, then you look at the population of 新竹 City or 新竹 County. How many people are here in 新竹 City? 新竹市人口多少？ Make a guess. 不知道，你住在新竹不知道新竹市人口。大概10万人。哇哦，那交大跟清华就已经是1/5了。Okay, close. No, not too close. More than 300,000. Okay, 30多万人. Okay, that's 新竹. So, in Taiwan, 300,000 for one. Okay, for one legislator. Okay, America, in the very beginning, it's about 30,000. 当美国人口刚开始的时候，3万人就可以选一个众议员。Now it's 700,000. Okay, it will continue to grow because they have made a cap saying we only need 435 congressmen. We're not going to have more. In the past, they just, more people, then more congressmen. Now they say, well, too many of them. Okay. In Taiwan, we also set up the ceiling right now. So we have about some 70s are electing from constituency. And then some 40s are elected from proportional representation. 所以我们是差不多70多席。所以除以30刚好就是差不多就是30乘以7就是2000多万人。Okay, so that's the people. And then next question, I think it's easier to ask. 何新家、黄伟志、何新家、黄伟志。Okay, so what's the size of population of 马祖？Yeah, we said 300,000 for one legislator, right? 30万人配一个立法委员。那马祖也有一个哦。What's the size of population in 马祖？ No, 4,000. 公平吗？44000人哦，马祖就配了一个立法委员。 我觉得买票马祖真好买。Okay, so that's not fair. But it's the same. At least in America, you said 700,000. The smaller states at least still have about 500,000 population. So not too far. Taiwan, I think Mazu is distorted. Okay. Pan Yan, the last one. U.S. Constitution. Slave would consider 2/5 of the white population. 林义明 Pan Yan, okay. Why wrong? 5/3. Wow. So they have more. No, 3/5, right? Okay, 60%. And when did they become full person? When did they become full citizen, like 100%? When? When did slaves become full person, citizen? About what time? Just, after what? After Obama became president? No? After a major event, of course, right? Which event? In the 1860, what event? The Civil War. Okay? After the Civil War, or in the middle of the Civil War, Lincoln announced emancipation. So Lin Yiming. Next one, the true and false. The first one, the answer is easy. Washington. Okay, Washington, D.C. always vote for the Democrats. These are all great states. But Hawaii actually voted for Reagan. Okay, Hawaii voted for Republican. And Massachusetts, okay, also voted for Reagan. Minnesota voted for Reagan one time. So, except Washington, D.C. Okay, so that's a easy one. Why? Because most of the African American vote for Democrats, and Washington, D.C. itself, a lot of African American. Second one, 9 judges. I think you should know. The third one, not too difficult here. 25 years for the House of Representatives and 7 years as naturalized citizen. So we have one from Taiwan. Mr. Wu from Oregon, who was born in Taiwan, but then became a naturalized citizen after 7 years. He is elected as House members now. We also have a lady in New York right now, being a congresswoman. Okay, this one is important. Generally considered to be red Republican state, but voted for Obama in 2008. So here we have Indiana, we have Virginia, North Carolina, and Georgia. So the only one that didn't vote is Georgia. So here, these two and Indiana voted for Obama, but they usually voted for Republican. Which one do not need confirmation by the Senate? Ambassador, sorry, most of the ambassador have to be confirmed by the Senate. Okay, sometimes the ambassador in the United States, it's not difficult to be an ambassador if you donate money to the campaign. Okay, you can get an ambassadorship maybe somewhere in the Caribbean. That's nice, enjoy the sunshine. So the equivalent will be in Taiwan. If I donate enough money to Ma Ying-jeou's campaign, I would like to be appointed as ambassador to Palau. 我很希望被派到帛琉当大使，怎么样？每天去潜水，游泳很好。Especially right now, you don't have to worry about while losing your diplomatic ally because we have diplomatic truce with China. 我们现在不是跟中国外交休兵了，所以不需要担心大使。以前没人要做大使哦，大使怕断交嘛，做代表比较好。Also, 代表 means always Europe, good place. You have 代表, right? Or Asia, 邦交国 diplomatic ally for Taiwan. Maybe difficult places in Africa, in Caribbean, in Central America, or in Pacific Islands. But I want to be ambassador. I want to donate money. Okay. So that's ambassador need to be confirmed. Cabinet members, 厨房里头的不是cabinet members 内阁阁员 need to be confirmed. Supreme Court justice need to be confirmed. But White House staffs, that's your own. You don't have to be confirmed. Filibuster, okay. You need to stop. That's 60 votes in the Senate. That's 3/5. Okay. One of the later you have that question, the nuclear option. I don't know why some of you just missed that. Talk about nuclear war. This nuclear option is very important to stop the filibuster. Current partisan control. Okay. Democratic House and Democratic Senate now. Okay. 2 years ago, we have a Democratic House. Not just last year, right? We have a Democratic House, but a Republican Senate. Before that, we have a Republican House and Republican Senate. So you always have change. In the early part of the 2000s, you have a Democratic Senate and Republican House. So rarely do you find like President, Senate, and House belong to the same party. Okay. Right now, Obama has it. Clinton has it for the first 2 years of his administration. Then he lost it. Okay. Now, tax unfair to the middle class, flat tax. Okay. Capital gain. Poor people don't buy stocks. Estate tax. Poor people don't have estates left for their kids. Progressive tax is fair. It's more unfair. Is the flat tax. Okay. Flat tax means everything is charged 17%. So whatever you spend or to buy, you pay the tax. The strength of incumbent over 95% are getting elected. Okay. Over 95%. That's how incumbent got elected. Very much like in Taiwan, we have one candidate earlier this month. She said it's so easy for her to, she just need to lie down and win. 张顺杰. Yeah, which candidate? 我躺着选就行了。现任的 incumbent. Do you remember? 没听过，有没有听过苏治芬县长？哪一个县的？云林，云林和陈云林没有关系。OK， 云林县的县长 ，right? She said, "Oh, I'm just going to lie down and win 95%, but not in Taiwan because we have 吕国华 from 宜兰 lost, right? So, not necessarily true, but America incumbent usually wins, especially in the House. Not active in the 60 movement. Anti-war. Okay, here. 蔡义兴, 吕义生. Yeah, anti-war. Which war? Anti-war in the 60. Anti-Afghanistan war. No. That's more recently. Anti-Iraqi war? No. What is the war they were against in the 1960s? Which war? Vietnam War. Okay. So the civil rights movement, feminist movement, it's all in the 60s. women's suffrage is not in the 60s. What is women's suffrage? Oh, women suffer a lot. No, what is women's suffrage? Suffrage means what? Right to vote. Okay, so that was earlier, in the late 19th century and the beginning of 20th century. And women got their votes in 1919, in 1920. So they voted since 1920. So that's not a movement anymore. 赖世恩. Okay, here. Seniority system. What is that? 学长制. What is seniority system? 老人制. It's about the Senate. Inside the Senate. 参议院. Okay, I have a wonderful answer. I have one student said, the oldest will be the leader of the Senate. Okay, so you remember reading Obama's book? Who was the old senator from West Virginia? Remember that name? Robert Byrd, B-Y-R-D. And he just cast a vote yesterday. Last week in the healthcare. He said, this vote is for Ted Kennedy, because of healthcare. And he is 92 years old. But I don't think he's the Senate majority leader. Huh? So it's not the oldest person being the leader. Okay? But then what is this seniority? 资深制. 资深 for what? Hmm? 资深什么？资深去餐厅吃饭优先排，是这样的吗？就是 Robert Byrd 排队，大家都让他，你第一个先吃。资深制 seniority system. For what kind of things that you need to count seniority? The opposite in Taiwan is we have committee assignment. 台湾那些委员会，司法委员会、教育委员会、国防委员会 but people just lined up, like also drawing the lots. In Taiwan, 抽签的，还有排队去等的。Okay, in America, it's assigned. So it's about what? Committee, right? Those who serve on this committee the longest, you have the right to be the chairman. Okay, so you do find some people who have been in two committees the longest. Then they will say, I want to be in this committee, but if I don't serve on this committee, I don't trust the guy next in line. I trust the other guy next, in line. So I'll stay here, which is my second choice, but, I'll give my first choice to the other guy I can trust. They do that as well. Seniority is about committee assignment. Chairman of the committee, the most senior member, not in the Senate, not the oldest, but in that committee. You have served on that committee the longest. Not you serve in the Senate the longest. 所以要排队，第一次要排队。A lot of people just got it wrong. Like, I'll wait here, and all those people keep getting re-elected. And then he said, well, I don't have a chance. So I moved to this committee, and then suddenly all these people die or being defeated. So but you're too late to go back. So again, you're waiting. So sometimes it's good luck. Okay, you get some committee, and then suddenly people just die or retire, and then you move up really fast to become the chair. Okay, so this is a good thing. So you have to look at all these committee members and calculate the possibility of them disappear in the next few years. Nuclear option. What is nuclear option? Wang Renyou. Yeah, what is nuclear option? To stop the filibuster. How can you... here we have already the 3/5 votes. You can stop the filibuster. But what is this filibuster of nuclear option anyway? you already have this 3/5 of votes, right? People can stop it. But why would you have this so-called nuclear option to stop? What is this nuclear option? Nuclear option is not the 3/5. The 3/5 is in the rule. So what is the nuclear option? Okay, I think this is the one you miss because it's widely discussed in the book. Means I don't have 60 votes to stop the filibuster. But if I have more than 50, I can just say, hey, this is a Senate rule. We just abolished that. It doesn't need a 60 vote. So it's a frustration from the Republican before. When they have majority in the Senate, but the Democrat using filibuster. So the Republicans threatened saying, we don't have 60 votes to stop you, but why don't we have this nuclear option? Means we abolish the rule totally. So nobody has it, like nuclear war, everybody die, right? So you cannot use it anymore. That's why we call it nuclear option. Okay. Now, the Democrats don't need the nuclear option because they have 58 plus the 2 independents sympathetic to their position. But next time around, if Democrat lost few seats and then Republican use filibuster, maybe the Democrats say, we will use the nuclear option to stop the filibuster. Okay, so that's why we call it nuclear option. And most of you didn't do well on this one. Hey, anti-disestablishmentarianism. I think it's very important. It is against disestablishmentarianism. Means you do not want the government to establish a church. So it means you do not want government in religion. You want separation of church and state. But that position means you feel it is okay to have government in the religion. Okay? So don't go too far. Like, I can accuse President Ma Ying-jeou, right, violate separation of church and state all the time, right? Like Hu Zhiqiang also violating separation of church and state. What did he do? He took Chen Yuning to Dajia Zhennan, right? So how can, that means you are endorsing Mazhu. So people say, oh, look, our mayor is also supporting Mazhu. Maybe if I want to get a job in the Taichung municipal government, I need to also go to Dajia Zhennan or something. Ma Ying-jeou also last week, right? I think, did he go to some kind of, he went to Kaohsiung, and he went to a Presbyterian church. 有没有看到新闻啊？马英九去高雄耶诞节的时候，去一个长老会教会聚会，结果牧师祷告的时候，他还不知道要闭眼睛，跟那个后面一个那个叫什么安全人员啊，提醒他，你要闭眼睛啊，赶快。Okay, but you went to a church. That's in America. Sometimes people will think that's support of religion. Okay, or like right now in America, you cannot call it a Christmas now. Why? You can only call it holiday. Why? Christmas, Christ, 基督, right? So that's why they don't want to call Christmas. They say Happy Holiday. Happy Holiday. Okay, not Merry Christmas. So that's one. Or they would say, like in school, when you sing Christmas song, you cannot sing Silent Night, Holy Night. That's a religious song. You can sing, I wish you Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Okay, that's okay. So that's how you want to separate church and state. Or in America, you can decorate Christmas. You can decorate a Christmas tree with everything, but don't put angel or baby Jesus on that tree. That's violation of separation of church and state. So anti-disestablishmentarianists will say, that's just a little bit too much. Don't you think this is a part of our tradition? So they will be very upset with this strong distinction between state and religion. Pork barrel, I think most of you have the idea. Pork barrel is usually a very important legislation, and you add something of the local project. So, president has to sign it, but then you get those to help. Unnecessary budget. Pork barrel from Alaska, where I was, there was a bridge go to an uninhabited island. That's so pork barrel. 肉桶政治到什么程度？阿拉斯加盖了一座桥到外面一个岛，无人岛。Okay, I mean, why do we need this bridge? Right? Original intent is about the Constitution. When you interpret the Constitution, you try to think, wow, 200 years ago, when the founding father wrote the Constitution, when they said, this particular due process, what does that mean? You try to think of, and people say, you cannot just go back all the way because the society keeps changing. You need to reflect what the society is all about right now. But original intent said, no. We want to find out what those people who write the law really mean. So when they say this is, separation of church and state, what does that mean? Against establishment. Ask a question, I think it's easy. You can answer either one. You have to justify, and then all this opposing view about individualism and communalism. I think America has come together after September 11 in terms of that. Autonomy and solidarity as well. Collective security, civil liberty. This is the one we talked about earlier. Freedom of speech and pornography. The last one, most of you missed that one. Merit pay means you pay according to your job performance. But distributive justice does not mean you have to pay equal pay all the time, right? But just more, you have to, it cannot be just too wide a range. The best professor in your university can be paid 2 times than the professor who do not do anything, or 3 times, but not 10 times. 还是都可以，你们觉得好的教授付他10倍薪水，那些教授打混的，就是只拿一份薪水，他10倍，还是说3倍就可以了？ That's what we call distributive justice. Okay, so I will send you some of the review question maybe tomorrow, and then you should ask me next week, and the final is in 2 weeks. Okay. And you will try to take the map test again next week. If you want to fail, fine. Okay, you have one more time in the final week. And if you fail that time again, you will stay here and until you pass. Okay, so you will take it again and again until you pass. Okay.